if you're going to do it and you're going to talk about it, I mean, get one on your vacation list and go do it.
Absolutely. If you want to be involved, you got to get involved. As long as an event has had its inaugural event, then we definitely need to get them listed on the dragondrive.com calendar.
Yes.
So that everybody, because as people are starting to Google this and figure, hey, what is this Drag and Drive I keep hearing about? Sick the Magazine is doing a fantastic job. We now actually have our own magazine that's dedicated to our own style of drag racing. That's fantastic. They've got a calendar. We've got a calendar on our dragondrive.com website. And we also have a link on that. It's just a single page site, but it lists all of the Drag and Drive events by the date. It has the US and Canadian ones. It's also got the overseas ones. And then it's also got a link to Sick the Magazine. So you can if you want to renew your subscription.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. So yeah, I've been playing on it. You were gracious enough to let us put our Drag and Drive event on there, and certainly appreciate that. Hope that brings us some more folks because we do it to raise money for the children's shelter. So anytime we can help them get more money, that's always a plus.
Yeah, the only criteria to be listed on that dragondrive.com calendar is they have to have had a first year event. Prior to that, it's just talk. But once they've actually had their first year event, then they are a Drag and Drive event, and we're going to put them on the calendar.
That's awesome. So do you want to talk a little bit about, you being in the weeds of this, like how many you're seeing of that? How many events, weekend style or 3-day events you think are gonna become normal for the country?
If we don't see 3 to 4 more weekend events pop up this year, I will be very surprised.
Yeah.
And we need more. We need more of those type of events that gets people involved, because it is really difficult to take a week off of vacation, drive 2 or 3 days in each direction to get to the event. That's really, really difficult. But then there's a lot of people out there that want to be able to participate in these local shows that are 2 or 3 days, and it's only an hour and a half to get there. It makes it so they all can participate. It gets them inspired, and it could be the one thing, because we're under attack by the RPM Act. We need to get more people involved back into motorsports. I think Drag and Drive is a fantastic way to be able to do it. So we need more weekend events.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And there's there's a lot of times where, I'm on all the big Drag and Drive pages, and so everybody's like, man, we don't need too many. We don't need it to wash out. We don't need, but I'm like, let's go. Because the thing is, like, with Facebook, we all become a very small community of Drag and Drive participants and, event voyeurs, people wanting to watch that stuff. But when you really think about it, Midwest Drags, Sick Week, Drag Week, and both race weeks, I mean, what's there, 1,500 spots open at the most? So
Right.
you start kind of figuring the reach of, what people would consider taking that event. There's tens of thousands of people, but these 5 or 6 huge events like you guys, I mean, there's 1,500 spots available.
Right.
So why not get involved? And then, you could almost, and I'll just say this, I don't know if it's true, but, or will work out. But, if you went to 3 or 4 small events that you can get into, submit your car to Midwest Drags if you didn't get in on the original entry. Hey, listen, I've competed in these 5 events or these 2 events, and I've completed it, and I ran 950s consistently at all these small events. How do I make sure that I get in if I show up?
Well, that would certainly make a very compelling argument and would move them to the front of the line. There's no doubt about that.
Yep. So that's that's my tip there. I will also say, if you really, really want to do one of these, I mean, people can't, promoters, you guys can't say if you show up, you're going to get in, because you don't know how many people are going to show up. But, at Race Week, we had, I think there were 7 or 12 spots that were available. Sick Week had 9 spots that were available. I mean, they did 341 out of the 350. So if you're going to do it and you're going to talk about it, I mean, get one on your vacation list and go do it.
Absolutely. If you want to be involved, you got to get involved.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's not lack of cars on out there. I mean, if you want a really good example, about 40% of the participants there at Sick Week were new to the drag and drive market. Dave Teresi, he's out of Long Island. He drives that yellow Nova, and his daughter Anna Lee was the one who won the roadkill car that Freiberger and Finnegan raced in. Right? She's the one. She was the girl. She's 14 years old, so she's got a couple more years, but she's no doubt got some ideas for it. Well, when Dave Teresi left Sick Week, all of his buddies back there in New York were watching the live feed. When he got back and they started talking about the Midwest drags, Dave Teresi specifically called me up and he says, I've got 3 850 cars that won in. Now that's 3 brand new fast cars that have been around for a long time. But this is after 18 years since the very first 2005, they're now getting inspired to come on out. There's not a shortage of fast cars. It's just getting our message of, if you want to have a killer time with some like-minded people and you like driving your car, you might want to take a serious look at drag and drive.
Yeah, I don't think people understand the joy that becomes those events, because listen, you're in parking lots, you're in gas stations, you're in stores, you're in restaurants. Everything you do for a week, there are race car friends everywhere, every time. And there's nothing cooler than that.
100%. But, another thing to consider too, for some of the new people, because, there's the kind of a concern that I hear. One of the number one concerns I hear from them is, well, how many laps am I going to be able to make? Or how many passes am I going to be able to make? I would shoehorn that concern for a little while, because here's the reality of the week. This is a week-long event, but you only get it in 24-hour blocks, because if you're not at the track and turning in your time slips before the lanes close, then you're a DNF. You're out. Okay. So yes, it's a week-long event, but you only get 24 hours at a time, and you get certain luxuries that you, depending on how well you're doing, you get to exercise those luxuries or not. And one of the first one, if you're running behind the 8 ball, one of the first ones to go is food. You're not going to be able to sit down at Red Lobster for an hour and a half and have a nice meal at night. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be eating a hot dog out of a gas station, and you're going to justify it because you just ate for $2. That's the first luxury that's going to go. The second luxury, sleep. You're going to lose sleep because you got to be able to make up that time. If you have to lay underneath your car at 3 o'clock in the morning, that comes first, or else you're out. So when you hear people like they say this is very much an endurance or an Ironman type of a competition, it absolutely is, because we are looking for the strongest car, but we're also looking for the strongest minded individuals that have a tremendous amount of self-discipline to put themselves through this.
Yeah. It's not a Saturday at the track where if you do drive your car to the track and make passes and go home, it's nothing like that. I mean, because a lot of times, would you say a typical Saturday or Sunday at the track, there's 100, 120 cars, 150 maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So now you're fixing to double that, and you've got to swap your car over and get it ready, and you have just driven it 150 to 400 miles. You've been in your car for 6 hours before. Do you guys race at night, or are you like a morning racer?
The format of the Midwest Drag is that the track goes hot at 8 o'clock in the morning, Tuesday through Thursday. And then the new format change for this year, and you can thank Rick Johnson for this. He was the advocate for this because of better racer safety. But we don't start racing on Friday until 3:30 in the afternoon, and then we race AFCO Racing Shocks Friday Night Lights.
Well, and after doing Sick Week, it makes sense to do that, because then you can go, people are trying to get their very best pass, and then we go right into awards, so that makes sense. The one thing I found compared to Race Week, which races at night, and Sick Week, which races in the morning, is how tired I am at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning, you drive, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to the track, and you get the car changed over, you get to the lanes, you make passes, all that adrenaline, and then you get in the car and you drive for, it took us 7 hours one day to go 125 miles. Because breakdowns, we spent some time at the checkpoints, so and then you crash at like 2 a.m. because you've been in the parking lot talking for 3 hours.
I know. You see, this is the funny thing. You think when you're in that car and you're stuck in rush hour traffic and you're so damn tired, you think that when I get to that host hotel, I'm going to go inside there and I'm just going to crash. Well, what happens is you get to that host hotel and you see all your buddies on out there talking. So on your way, you spend 2 hours just to go from your car to inside to your room.
Oh, listen, one night I had to stretch once I got to the room because I had carried my backpack that had my editing laptops and all my camera gear and clothes and everything like that. I had carried it for 2 hours. And I told people for an hour and a half of that, I got to go in and get this backpack down. I got to go in and get this backpack down. And you would just move from group of 5 or 6 people to group of 5 or 6 people to group of, and then by the end of the night, there was 30 of us in a huge group out there just talking amongst ourselves. It was great.
Every time, every night, and every time at one of these events. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not any one of the events; it's every single one of them.
Yep. Well, and for folks that are kind of in my age group or maybe a little older, in high school you cruised, right? You cruised this little section of town that you had. It was a lot like that for us. People would come from other hotels and they would park and talk for a little bit, and then they'd leave, and another group would come in who had just finished dinner. Somewhere at Waffle House typically is where you eat at 11:30 at night. So even pulling into the Waffle House parking lot, you end up seeing people that you haven't seen all week.